You got it.
And you know, in Paris at McDonald's, you can order a glass of beer. You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese?
They don't call it a quarter pounder?
No, they don't have the Mexicans. 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Oh my God. Welcome to Fresh Out. I'm Jules.
I'm Vincent.
And we're fresh out of Smile 2. Smile 2, starring Naomi Scott, directed by Parker Finn, continues the original plot of the Smile Curse following a pop star, Sky Riley, as she goes through her psychotic break with reality. Smile 2, dude.
Smile 2.
Yeah, so I will say just to start off with that this movie is definitely a different styled horror movie than the original Smile. The original Smile reminds me of The Ring, The Grudge, that regular horror movie style, right? Mm-hmm. And then this one was definitely more artsy. It was definitely more like stylized because she's a pop star, and it's cool. It's a totally different styled horror movie, though, and we can get into the differences. What did you think about the style of it?
I completely agree with you. I think when you have this kind of original horror film that it's an original idea, right? And you're trying to make a sequel from it, you don't want to follow the same path. Even though this does have the same director, same writer.
Same monster.
Yeah, same
Terrible
monster.
Mistake. Why did you keep the same monster?
I have some questions about that, too.
I totally thought that they were going to like evolve the monster into something a little cooler, because if you did see the first Smile, literally for the first Smile movie for me, it was okay, all right, whatever. And then we got to the end. She's in a creepy house. And then the Smile 2 monster comes out. And I'm just like, this looks like a dude with a wig on. Like, what? I don't get it. This is not intimidating. It's not scary. And so then he rips off his face and then shows the actual Smile monster with like multiple sets of teeth. And I'm like, this is not good character design.
Yeah.
And so they kept that same creature.
Well, I think, right, for the continuity of
I guess they had
franchise,
to keep the same
they kind of have to.
design.
They're not going to.
Yeah.
I think when they originally made the film, right, and I would totally agree with you on this, in that it was a good film. I came out of it being like, you know, I don't feel like I wasted my time or money. But the one thing that did throw me off, that took me out of it, is as there's all these kind of really jarring moments that happen throughout the first film, once you see the reveal of this monster, it kind of takes you out of it, right?
And so you don't see the actual reveal of this monster until the very end of this movie too, but instead of on the first one, you saw the reveal of the monster maybe like 15 minutes before the end of the movie. This one shows you in the last, literally the last like 2 minutes of the movie, it shows the monster.
Yeah.
And so we're not doing any spoilers, but the main difference of this movie is the first movie was a little bit creepier, a little bit more moody, a little bit more eerie. Mm-hmm. And Smile 2 was only jump scares. It was only jump scares. It was exclusively jump scares. So if you don't like movies that only do jump scares and you want to be creeped out and eerie and have imagery that you remember, this isn't the movie for you. Because I am in the boat of the people that I personally gave Smile number 1 maybe a 5 out of 10. I wasn't really digging it.
Ouch.
Yeah, 5 out of 10. I wasn't really digging it. Like, it was pretty boring and it was okay, right? Very generic, very stereotypical. It was not, it didn't blockbust me, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So at least number 1 had atmosphere. Number 2, dude, is like, I'm jumping out of the bushes, ha! I'm jumping out of the carton of French fries, ha! I'm jumping out of the bathroom cupboard, ha! You want to drink some milk? I'm jumping out of the fridge, bah! Yeah. It's like only jump scares. This movie is literally only jump scares, dude.
I think the tough thing is...
It gets old after the 3rd jump scare in a row. You're like, creep me out. Turn off some lights. Make her walk through a dark room or something, dude. Creep me out. I'm tired of, like... Yeah, I'm jumping, but it's because the sound is so loud.
I think this film at its base, there's an abstract concept at play here where you don't really know what's real and what's fake. And you can see that from the original film, right? There are many moments where she thinks she has
But it goes
everything in control.
hardcore in this one, though. Because in the first one, it does it a little bit. This one, it's
purposefully so, though, right?
So,
it's a sequel, so they're trying to...
You don't know what's reality.
Yeah. They try to amp it up to like an extreme level because they say, hey, okay, they liked this film, let's take it up to this notch. It is entertaining, but it makes it tough to really totally understand what's going on. Yeah. And as much as like you look at it to say like, wow, this is an original plot and it's hitting all of these points that are shocking moments, you really can't, it doesn't really resonate fully because you're not completely committed to say, this is a real moment that's happening in front of me.
Yeah, definitely. It does that too much where
you start to second guess.
She wakes up, or, you know what I mean? Like, she's in the bed now, or she's in the dressing room, and it's like, bruh, like, you can only do that once in a movie.
Yes.
It did it like 3 or 4 times.
It was a little oversaturated.
And I'm like, I don't know what's real, I don't know. So anyway, she had a traumatic event, just to give a little bit more of a synopsis. She had a traumatic event where she got in a car wreck or something, and it changed her view of life since she's a pop star. And so this movie is about trauma, basically. This movie is about the trials and tribulations of her getting back to her original self or whatever. But she was a drug addict when she was like super popping, and she's still popping. But like now she's not on drugs in the social scene anymore. And I see what this movie was trying to say or whatever. But I will tell you the truth. While I was watching it, the whole time I was watching it, I was like, wait, this is way more stylized than the first movie. Like, there are a lot of scenes way more stylized, but there was literally only one scene that kind of creeped me out, and that was in her apartment before the whole dance routine thing, whatever that was. Yeah. But it was in her apartment with a deranged fan that she met earlier in the movie. I'm not going to spoil anything, but like, that was the creepiest scene.
I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
There are not very many eerie, suspenseful moments.
This movie was not scary at all, other than it scaring you with the sound and a flash of light or a weird face. Like, it was the first one was scarier. This movie was not scary at all. I was just waiting till the next jump scare.
And I would say, intentional or not, I think really the guiding light in this film is Naomi Scott, right? The acting is really what makes this film, from critics and audience's perspective, like pretty decent.
Because she's going crazy the whole time.
You can see the evolution of where she starts as a sane, kind of rehabilitated,
but she's like she has that trauma, and so she's
trying
broken.
to essentially re-enter this phase of her life where
she's a broken person that's trying to rebuild her life back up.
And as she's doing it, it's in the public eye. It's where she was already a well-known artist, but hit a very low point where a disastrous event happened, and then she's trying to get back into the limelight, but at the same time, she's not fully ready to even be in society.
And everybody's on her with the pressure. Her mom is on her with the pressure. Her assistant's on her with the pressure. She has all these people depending on her, which is a real thing about being famous. And
absolutely.
Like, people are dependent on you.
And so that's why
your fans are depending on you.
It makes you try to... I think the point of the film is it's having her question her own sanity in that, is this just in my head because I've gone through what I've gone through and I'm trying to be back in society, or is there a demonic force at play that's really altering everything that's going on in my life?
Yeah, so if you like watching movies where the lead character goes crazy by the end of the movie, you're going to love this. You're going to love this movie because she does a A+ job.
Masterclass.
She is the reason that this movie... I even sat through it. Because, like, to tell you the truth, bruh, if I was watching this movie at the house, I would have turned it off after 40 minutes. I would have turned it off after 30 minutes and just been like, okay, let's go to something else. This was not the movie for me. But we'll get into the ratings.
Yeah. We're going to it. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
What'd you think? What'd you think about it?
I feel like let's have you start off. You got this. I feel like you have an opinion about it.
I think I did piece by piece first, but I'll go first.
Yeah, I want to hear your opinion on this because I feel like you have a passionate opinion.
I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10.
Oh.
I did not like this movie at all. I was bored to tears the whole time.
Wow.
I was like, yo, the first movie got a 5 out of 10 because I was being generous. You know what? I would have gave the first movie a 6 out of 10, but then it showed the monster. It showed how terrible design the actual smile monster was, and I was like, bro, I laughed when the smile monster appeared. This movie, I'm not taking off any points for the terrible monster. I'm taking off points because it just was not. It was not scary. This is not a scary movie. All I was waiting for, all I was watching was some chick going crazy the whole movie until some dude jumped out of the bushes or around the corner or something. So 3 out of 10, dude. I didn't feel this movie at all, and it shocked me because as I was walking out of the movie, I looked up the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb score, and it was like 80%. I was like, what? This movie is worse than the first one. Then we watched a couple of YouTube reviews, and they're like, this one is better, this one is good, and this one is changing the game. I'm like, bro, they had to been sponsored or paid off because I was not feeling this movie at all, dude. 3 out of 10. We don't have a word for 3 out of 10, but I give this an even lower score than The Crow.
Wow. All right.
3 out of 10.
I have to
dude.
disagree. I have to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're here for. This is what we're here for.
Yeah, disagree.
So I completely see where Coot is coming from, right? The Smile Monster's very unrealistic. It takes you out of any kind of suspense or fear that you might start to have. In any moment, there aren't very many moments for that. If we're looking at it overall as just a horror movie, and what are the purpose of horror movies? To scare people, to frighten, to have some kind of angst to some level. If that's the case,
there was no angst.
There wasn't.
I don't want to change your review score.
No,
but there was no angst.
That's what I mean.
It was all just jump scares.
I agree.
That's it.
I agree.
There was no feeling of dread ever.
So if you're looking at it from the horror view, like the horror lens, yes, like it's not really. If you're going to be scared, it's not really that scary. There are a couple moments, but you can point them out, and they're not really even that scary. But as a film for Naomi Scott and her acting abilities, I would say that is what brought it back up for me. And I would say the plot is one of those plots where it's unique in that you might use it too much to your advantage, right? To kind of have, I wouldn't say lazy writing, but more just a little bit too crazy of writing. In that, with this plot, you can just say, what's reality, what's not reality? I get to decide. So whenever I want to change reality to say, this is what's happening or what's not happening, I can do that. Yeah. As long as you do it in a thoughtful way, then I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's really cool as a concept. But when you do it too much, where you're saying, this is all real, now it's not real, now it's real again, then you start to lose people, right? Yeah. So I would say for me, overall, and this is going to be a controversial score compared to him, but probably more mainstream with what everybody else is thinking, I'm giving it a 7. Still not an 8.
7 is good.
Still not an 8 because I think
8 is great.
8 is what everybody else was kind of on par with.
Yeah, 7 is good.
I would say
it's a good movie.
I would say I did like it because of the acting, but as far as like the traditional horror film Smile, like the original Smile, I do see the appeal and why Cood would say that he liked it better than this one, because this one was a lot more mainstream, it was like more poppy, more I don't know, like stylistic rather than.
It was stylistic. It was
more
stylistic.
It was trying because the subject matter was just different, right?
Yeah.
The first film followed a doctor who was going through it. This film follows a pop star. So there's just two completely different settings and environments and characters.
And if I was like a dancer or something, maybe I'd like this movie a little bit more or something. Or if I was like a teenage girl, maybe I'd like this a little bit more.
I wouldn't say like a high 7. I'll say that just to give it, but because there are some laughable moments and not in a good way, like ones where you're like, okay, obviously this.
I never laughed. I was just bored.
Yeah.
I never laughed. Yeah. I'll take a laugh in a scary movie over just being bored.
That's why I
think
waiting. You said you actually appreciated The Crow more, right?
Yeah,
so I can see that. I can see that.
I was just bored, dude. So,
yeah. But I mean, in my opinion, and right, we don't have to have the same opinion. That's
well,
the whole.
We shouldn't have the same.
We should never. Don't ever have the same opinion.
Well, I mean, yeah, that ain't, this review show isn't about us like agreeing.
No, of course not.
I mean?
It's
like
about,
this movie sucked to me.
We're gonna be
this
real.
Movie was something that you would have continued watching by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have turned this movie off after 30 minutes. I would have been like, oh, okay, I'm just watching a girl go crazy. Hey, I can just watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians if I want to see that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
It was just annoying to me, and it's not saying that people aren't right about the 8 out of 10 that they're giving it. It's just not my version of scary. I want a movie to be atmospheric and eerie And I'll take no jump scares over only jump scares.
I think
You know
that's
what I mean?
that's very valid.
So that's
it's
it.
Very valid.
That's
yeah.
it. But man, it was fresh out of Smile too.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you're smiling.
I hope you are too.
You better be smiling, because this is the best review you ever seen.